We live.
Yeah,
Hook on this beat. All I
yeah.
need you is a truck in that background, my headphones, let I keep that beat going around, and I'm a
And I'm
listen. I rap
yeah.
that whole song for y'all. Don't
It's
play with
time
me.
to come out
Tomorrow, come
tomorrow,
on.
and I
Yeah,
will never have tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. Hey, he was actually on this is comedy podcast on YouTube called Comedy Hype, and that the comedian Pierre got a podcast on their platform, and he had Murphy Lee on there. And it was dope. Like every time them niggas, Nelly was doing the interviews recently, and then Murphy Lee had just did this interview. So like hearing them niggas kind of talk about them same lunatics days, but that shit nostalgic. I'm not gonna lie to
I
you.
need to hear that. That is
Definitely, I need to hear that too, especially in
from the
relationship to the interviews that Nelly be giving.
Yeah, Nelly interview was a little different. Nelly kind of went off on niggas. But excuse the Peloton in the back. I just mean the nigga be working
Okay.
out.
Big money over
Mm,
there.
Yeah. Hey, like that.
What's
You
up?
know,
If y'all ain't
usually this
say
should
what's
be
up,
we be this
what up?
big. Y'all
come
know what it
in.
is. When y'all come in the chat, man, make sure y'all say what's up. Corey, Stephanie,
What's up?
Kevin.
What's up?
Kevin about to take his boiler test.
Good luck to
I
you.
Yeah,
don't
good luck.
know if that's
I
like
don't
a
know what that
real
is
test
either.
or if that's some work shit. Either way, you got it, my nigga. You got
Knock
it.
it out the park.
You got the love of the chop up show as you take your boiler test. Remember that. Or conduct your boiler test. However that take place. You
Listen,
got
Facts.
we should be more
One,
sure about the test though, because some people you be like, do a good job, and they want to be negative on something. Not that this is Kevin's
right.
situation, but you just got to be careful how you give people good luck on tests. Sometimes we don't.
Hey,
We want to get the
whatever you
positive.
want to vote. Want a negative? Good luck. Hope you get the negative.
Look, that part too. Periana.
Hey,
Nope, didn't study. All right, well, it's somewhere deep in your heart then. I want you to search your heart for the answers. It ain't gonna be in your mind.
Yeah,
So the answer, it's gonna be in your heart. I want you to search your heart for that thing because you don't know.
hey, I'm gonna take that with Toya. I ain't never thought about it like that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's in your heart. It's not anywhere in your brain. You didn't put it there, but your soul wants to survive. So you do that. Good luck to you. Miss Myasia was popping. Corey said
what
the fam
up?
got COVID, but luckily they vaxxed, so they probably gonna bounce it back or hopefully bounce back in ways that are all healthy and back 110%.
oh yeah,
Infinite Blink was popping with you.
What's
infinite
up?
blankers. So you see,
yeah.
we got a guest today. You feel
You
me?
know,
What's up,
Oh
Smart
y'all?
yeah,
What
man.
up?
We
for the
going high. We
debate
going high
panel.
tech today.
Oh
We
yeah.
What
going
up,
full
y'all?
high tech today.
Danielle, what's good? We gon' like
That's what I
I don't
said.
know. Y'all usually tell me when we can jump into it, but as soon as we do, we're gonna get it rolling and tell y'all. We're gonna introduce y'all briefly
Yeah.
to the homie that we got before we jump into a snapshot. And then we'll jump into a Black People Don't. You know what I'm saying? Another edition, another segment. Black People Don't.
Yeah.
Definitely excited to have that where we'll really talk even more to our guest this evening about what he's good at, what his background is, what his direction is, what his jewels and gems are for you in terms of what you think Black people ain't doing, but what Black people's really out here moving and shaking about. And a couple amens from the panel even in that regard.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into that and talk about all of that in a minute. Definitely,
Hey,
Kevin. You
real quick though. So I was going into to YouTube to I want to share this link. So I'm going to George's YouTube page to get the link. You know what I'm saying? Because George be sharing the StreamYard link. That's how you get people in the back. You feel me? I'm gonna show you. We're gonna share the YouTube link. So when I put Conscious Lee in the search bar, I want y'all to know the top two suggestions that come up when you search Conscious Lee on YouTube. Conscious Lee, Kevin Samuels.
love it.
I don't know where that connection was made, but okay. And then Conscious Lee wife.
Okay.
Bro, why is y'all fucking with my sister, man? Like, why y'all searching my sister on YouTube,
The
bro?
people
Like,
are
who are y'all? You know what I'm saying? Why are y'all
people
looking up Consciously Wife on YouTube, bro? Shout out to the missus, man.
Shout
definitely,
Uh,
out to the wife, definitely.
definitely out there
but
going with a safe.
as I go ahead and get this link, we could go ahead and get it started. Y'all can keep bringing it in. We're
Yeah.
gonna start the show the way that we always start the show. Let's get it.
Me, my guys, we really lie. Lord, forgive me, pay my tithes. Please don't have me reach inside. And that's in the console. Keep the semi when I ride. Let off Henny when I drive. In the city, we gon' slide. Bet I be there pronto.
What up? What up? What up? It is the Chop Up Show. I was excited because I thought we had. Okay, he's back. I got nervous there. He disappeared in thin air. But the four of us are in the building. I know it's looking a little different today, but we're gonna explain what's going on here. I'll start off with myself. This is your girl Toya G. Happy to be with y'all for another Monday. We are in the first Monday of December 2021. Y'all know I like to keep an eye on that calendar, keep an eye on that clock, and that thing is moving and grooving. So we only got a couple more of these things to get through the month with, and I'm happy to be doing it with y'all. We got a special guest. So before we even get to everybody up in here, real quick, guys, go ahead and drop briefly who you are, what you talking about, what it is, and then we'll slide it over to the rest of the hosts. What's up?
What's good, y'all? What's good? My name is Raul Sippin, and I am the founder of Social Justice Tech, where I help Black people break into technology with no prior tech experience. And I'm also the founder of Afocons, which is a NFT and blockchain design company where we build metaverses, NFTs, and worlds.
Love it. Love it. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to really peel the layers back on that.
Sound like witchcraft to me, son.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Who else we got?
Yo, y'all know what it is. It's the political plug. Yeah, we back. You know what I'm saying? Got one of my debate niggas on here. Y'all know how we do. We got a huge network. If y'all just thought we was dope, you know what I mean? It's a lot of dope niggas like us, you feel me, in all type of different shit, different realms and all that shit. And we're gonna get into that today. But yeah, I'm ready to. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer tonight. Not gonna lie. I'm invested though. Like I'm not like to push people out, but I got some questions, bro. We gotta talk, bro.
I'll do my
best. Uncle Damo. First name Conscious, last name Lee. You feel me? That's how. What I think about that one? You know what I'm saying? The new one. We gonna see. We working on it though, man. But y'all know that can catch me at theconsciously.com. You feel me? Make sure you, while you can, get this. Take advantage of this once in a lifetime deal for this $89 for this class, lifetime access, identity politics, race, class, ability, gender, sexuality, all that. Education is elevation. Tonight, though, we finna get into this virtual, you feel me, currencies. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of witchcraft, as Damos, you know what I'm saying? Say, I feel like a lot of misinformation and paranoia and anxiety that surrounds the concept of virtual money. You know what I'm saying? But I'm getting ahead of myself, Toya. You got it. I'm excited for the night. Damo gonna be Uncle Damo. I'm gonna be excited as shit because I think it's changing the world right now. But yeah.
Before we get into the meat and bones of it, definitely want to tap in with the comments real quick. Corey asked, wait, you and Georgia brother-in-laws, they are not brother-in-laws. They are brothers, and that is Dominique's sister in the very Black familial sense where we are not blood related, but everybody's kin, you know, so we locked in like that in the same way. So, you know, that's how that works.
That's my dog.
They mean we will fuck you up behind each other. That's what that means. People that don't know what that means, they mean we will fuck you up behind each other. So,
and real quick,
tread lightly.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to tell people to make sure they hit like, subscribe, share, really share, because a lot of people will benefit from this conversation. We want to definitely connect people to a lot of the knowledge that Raul is about to be dropping. So like it, level. If y'all in here, let's see some life out of y'all real quick, either in the comments or in the likes and the love. Something, let us know you in the building, but also share, hit the share button real quick. That way people can go back, double back, and follow up with this conversation because Raul's about to drop some good business. Before we get into all of that though, right? The blockchain, the crypto, the Ethereum, I think is in there. I might have said it wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. Before we get into all of them, right? We want to drop into a snapshot real quick because you know a lot of life been happening. A lot of life be happening around us. So we're gonna turn it over to the plug to talk a little bit about the snapshot real quick. What's going on, Lee?
You said the plug, or you said what's going on, Lee?
I mean, the plug, Damo.
Yeah.
My bad. You're right.
Let's get it. So Snapchat, another school shooting. This is America, right?
I think 27 for 2021, by the way.
Which is ridiculous. Like what? like I mean, that's a whole conversation within itself, right? But there's a unique conversation happening around this most recent school shooting that took place in Michigan. So In Oxford, Michigan. It's a suburb of Detroit. A teenager pulled up and shot 4 high school students. And I think he injured two other people. This individual's parents have been charged with involuntary manslaughter. Now, the individual at question is a 15-year-old. Let's let that sink in.
Being charged as
15-year-old. Currently being charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and terrorism. Okay. The parents have been charged due to their involvement with getting him access to the weapon that was used in the shooting. One, he was too young to have the gun. They bought it for him as a gift. Right? That's off break. That's already the no-no. Right? His accessibility to the gun, as well as certain issues that arose in terms of his own mental health that were pointed out by staff at the school. What was going on? The parents declined to act in multiple instances, even leading up to the day of the incident. They're being charged with involuntary manslaughter. Conversation taking place on social media, specifically between with Royce the 5'9" and DL Hughley, right, is a conversation about white parents actually being held culpable for producing little murderers, the same way that black mothers are held culpable or are accused of creating and manifesting little gangsters and thugs and all of that. So with that information, you said what? Moynihan report. You already know. So with that being said, with these parents being charged involuntary manslaughter, are we starting to see a shift in the way white parents are held responsible, or specifically like white mothers, the way that black mothers are held responsible and pathologized as black fathers are accused of being absent? So y'all go ahead. What do y'all? Or do y'all think this shift is taking place? What y'all think?
Well,
nope.
I mean, Lee.
Yeah,
I know you've been talking about it on your platform.
Yeah. Shout out to Royce the 5'9" DL Hughley for sharing my video that I made about, you know what I'm saying, the comparative analysis, really about how the black community really just always get ridiculed for producing thuggetry and producing black on black crime and all these type of thugs, and thinking about how there's a phenomenon of white culture, white people, you know what I'm saying, going into schools and, you know what I'm saying, shooting them up. I think that this is kind of too early. It's the first time I feel like we all can recognize the uniqueness of this case in terms of what led up to it, as well as the parents being charged for it. I feel like only time will tell, but I think that if I'm being in my pessimistic mind, hell no, these white folks ain't finna get held accountable for nothing at all when it comes to what white American culture produces in terms of white individuals.
So that's enough from George. Toy.
I mean, I don't know. The question is whether it's good or not.
Well, is there a shift with these parents being charged? Is this indicative of a shift in the way that white parents are viewed as the culpability that they are held to? I don't think this
is as much as a shift as it is a precedent, right? We understand that this is happening in a legal framework. So I don't think that the paradigm by which we look at white parents and their responsibility for their uncontrolled white kids and those white children's inhibitions, particularly when they end up being violent, I don't think they're going to have to start taking more responsibility for that. I think it's going to set a dangerous precedence for black parents even more so. It's going to make the cost even more steep for black parents because of the way that they're able to look at the systems, the symptoms, and look at the signs of things like unfit households and, especially from the context of black people. They're able to go down a checklist and say, okay, you live in this type of neighborhood, this type of environment, this type of community. You are already predisposed to doing these things, and your parents didn't do anything to get you out of this. They're responsible. Boom. I'm gonna go ahead and charge them. So now when somebody who, is independent, makes their own decisions, departed far away from what they've been taught, how they've been shaped, but their parents are victims of their situations and from their communities, they become culpable for crimes they end up committing because we know, the way that the revolving door of structural violence works. it predisposes some to crime. They commit crime, now they innocent. So it's just it's messy. It's messy. When I think of a shift, I don't think the paradigm is shifting to where more white parents are going to be in trouble. I think it's actually going, as it typically does, come at the expense in a very legal, material way for more Black and brown families. And so I don't know if you can celebrate it as a slam dunk.
Bro.
So that's I would say that that's a no for the white parents being held more culpable, but there is a shift that will take place that's going to be to the detriment of Black parents.
My distinction was I don't think there is a shift. I think there's a precedence, right? I don't think shift and precedence is necessarily the same, because shift means that there's a change. The more white parents will be found responsible for the things that their white children do, so on and so forth, whatever. I think it will create a precedence for more people to be charged, and some of them will be white. But a lot more of them will probably disproportionately be from Black parents, because they're able to go down a checklist and say, created the environment for your child to go commit a crime.
We charge them with that.
This makes me.
Yeah, go ahead.
This makes me think a lot about the crack versus heroin situation, right? Like, what is the currency of outrage? Who's deserving of its spending, and then who gets to retain how long that outrage is valuable? And I think that what we're seeing right now is like the initial outrage of, like, you know, children, but now white children dying, which all children should be protected, right? But when, like, there's these new kinds of people on the line, right, then more people want to, like, get involved, more people want to do more. So I think the real question is, like, is this sustainable, like, for white parents to be held accountable? Because it's like they use punitive measures for crack, but it's like they don't use it for heroin. So it's like, are they eventually going to get past the point where it's like, oh, it's not a punitive measure, you just need a better parenting? Or, like, how do we think about this issue in a way that doesn't, like, bring culpability to these parents? So I'm very negative on it. I think it's a solid no. But I hope that, you know, something better happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sweetie.
I was gonna say it's no different from when a white you get a Derek Chauvin, but you get 1,000 more people who end up getting the opportunity to walk away scot-free. So then that also complicates how meaningful you can look at these decisions. I'm definitely happy they got captured and charged, and I really do hope they go to jail. But I'm not gonna hold my breath for that today.
It's a spectacle of the law, like, you know what I'm saying, like the legal professors Tibbs and Woods would say, like these type of national headlining trials become just spectacles of the law for us to just really, I feel like, hold up into a way where we camouflage for every one Derek Chauvin, there's 100 Betty Shelby's, you know what I'm saying, type shit.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
say that.
Right, and I think it's one of those things where, and I say this, and we could go ahead and get to the conversation. It's one of them things where you couldn't not charge them. You know what I mean? Like it was no way that you was gonna look at all the circumstances, them getting in the gun, them not picking them up, like when all the red flags was there and everybody else is doing their job except the parents.
Yeah.
like you have school staff that's paying attention. Not only are they paying attention, they reporting, right? The school itself is taking this serious and reaching out to the parents, and the parents are refusing to act.
And the video that I made, the reason why I was surprised, you feel me? And I ain't say this in the video specifically, but a part of it, subconscious, like, hey, Michigan not too far from Wisconsin, goddamn. And Kyle Rittenhouse mama didn't get charged with nothing, nothing. What I know about the law, I ain't no legal scholar, I ain't no lawyer, but it's like, hey, if you commit a crime and it puts you in a position where you have to, quote unquote, defend yourself, you're not in the legal parameters to defend yourself because you shouldn't have been in the first place. So I feel like, you know what I'm saying, with that one right there, I was like, that's why I was surprised. But I digress. I'm ready to get into this crypto conversation.
Well, not, last thing I mean, all right.
Well, no, I'll say this and then you can finish it up. So really, just the point that I'm making is just that we can't look at these just extreme instances of failure on somebody else's part and then say that, oh, okay, now because these people are being called out and it's a shift. No. Like it don't work like that. Like it's again, as we talk about all the time on this show, that what's really fucked up about the society that we live in is what's been normalized. What's like okay. You know what I mean? And so like when you look at a situation that there's a consensus universally, we're all like, well, that's not okay. That's not a situation to use to be like, oh, okay, we change it. Nah, it's a situation where we disagree and you got to change your mindset. You know what I'm saying? Like it can't be like, oh yeah, we agree on this. Like, nah, you gotta. And that initial disagreement is a knee-jerk reaction that's tied to how you've been socialized to react to certain identities. You know what I'm saying? It's when that knee-jerk reaction happens, and then you got to call into question that knee-jerk reaction, that we have a shift. But if people, if they're not calling into question the shit that they would immediately defend, then ain't no shit like that taking place. Ain't no shift happening. So yeah, so that's the snapshot. Another one. It's sad, bro. Let's get into
Definitely
it.
sad.
All right. We'll transition over then to the segment that I think we've been doing pretty solid once a month here now, really getting to talk to different Black folks about corners, crevices, and components of our Black existence that we don't often get into or get to get into. We don't often get a lot of spotlight. But today is going to be unique. Raul got a chance to introduce himself toward the beginning of the conversation. I want to give him another chance to do that again. So I'm going to ask him, and he'll, in a roundabout way, kind of drop all the creds. But I'm excited for this conversation, or this segment of Black People Don't, where we get into the financial literacy, the financial proficiency to participate in the new wave of digital currency, right? A language, a vocabulary, and understanding of how money is now moving in the 21st century American, in the 21st century world, and how you can kind of be a part of that wave and really participate in it, but also not just do it for the sake of doing it, but really have it be a reflection of how Black people can potentially expand their wealth, expand their relationship to wealth, be on a new wave of something that can really bridge the gap potentially, or start to bridge the gap between what we know to be generational wealth, right? Between how we see and set up, a plan for the future of our children, the future of our families, just by learning about how money and value is moving in our society. So that's why I thought it would be cool to have Raul come in and talk to us a little bit. Raul, how did you go from this? Because you little brother on the call, right? We were just talking before the show about how, young back in the day, I think I was in college, grad school, probably seeing you bopping around at debate camp. You know what I'm saying? You were talking about your debates against George, your first time at Elims, and he on his way out of competition altogether. And then if that's the case, then grandfather and uncle Damo was on the way off the scene as well. But
sure.
we did the debate thing. We did the academia thing. You were teaching for a minute, and then all of a sudden I saw a complete switch up, and what you were excited about, your passion has changed a little bit. So talk to us about how you made the transition from what you were doing before to getting neck deep at this point, and what you're doing today.
For sure. So thank y'all for inviting me. I'm super excited to be here. I kind of came into tech in a really random and wild way. I was in grad school to be a social worker. And the reason I decided to go to grad school is because I wanted to help Black people build social enterprises, which are businesses that allow Black people to make money while also adding value and making an impact in their community. And they didn't send me my refund check. And I'm here struggling. And I'm like, yo, my loans are fully out. They had all of my money, and social work is a licensure program. So you have to do it full time. You can't work. You can't do anything else. And I was like, yo, what am I supposed to do? So I was scrolling on LinkedIn and I saw an application to a coding bootcamp, and I applied. And I went through the coding bootcamp, and it changed my life. I mean, I unfortunately didn't finish it all the way, but I was able to learn enough that I was able to get a really high paying role in a tech startup. And, from there, everything just grew, and I was able to find, I started off as a blog called Social Justice Tech, where I was just sharing some content on my journey. And then it grew into me helping my friends with resumes. And now we have a team where we empower a whole bunch of Black people every month to transition to technology through career preparation, career coaching, and different services.
Okay. And so you said, give me the timeline on that. How long did it take you from being introduced to coding, a coding boot camp that you didn't even finish, to gaining the proficiency to now, have the relationship, do the mentoring, do the resume building that you're doing right now?
So the coding boot camp that I was in, the way that it worked is you had to learn to code before you even got there. And that was less than a year ago. And I'm very obsessive. That's that debate trait that we have.
You had to learn how to code before you did the boot camp?
Yeah. So when you were doing, it was one of the hardest boot camps in the country. And when I got a scholarship, I didn't know that. the scholarship was contingent upon me getting like past this technical test, and I had a lot of like imposter syndrome that I had internalized. Like I had ADHD, I have ADHD, and like having that was very difficult to study. But essentially, what happened is I like called my aunt one day, like, and I was like, "Yo, I'm not paying no more New York City rent. Like, I'm gonna stop everything I'm doing. Can I come and live in your basement for a few months?" And she was like, "Yeah." So I went and I taught myself how to code in her basement in Georgia. And from there, I was like taking pictures, doing photography, social media marketing, and I started like helping people like learn about technology. And all of that happened like in the last year. And I got into like the no code movement, which is how you develop programs, applications, and databases without coding. And eventually, like I got a job where I was managing like 6 professional sports teams worth of advertisement. Like
Wow.
accounting for millions of dollars, and I was like managing like 8 or 9 different data dashboards. So like a lot of it is about like being fearless about it, right? Like the biggest thing I feel like is every 4 years skills change. So I thought that like, yo, I'm so far behind, but the speed and acceleration of new tech, new innovation is getting so fast that if you're not continuously learning, you're being left behind. So like now is the perfect time for anyone to jump in. Like I have friends that do IT, they make 6 figures and they have felonies. And it's like their lives are changed because of access to this field. So I think that there's a lot of empowerment that can come from it.
Got you. So, I mean, tell me, and I feel free, plug and lead to jump in with some questions about how this thing kind of developed. I guess my question is, so how did the boot camp even come on your radar? Like, as somebody who's just like, all right, I got a basement I can stay in. I'm done paying some rent. I'm about to just learn this and kind of just, or maybe I don't have to do all of that, but I'm ready to switch gears. Like, do I just Google crypto boot camp or what am I looking for?
So what I
Right.
did, oh, pardon me. What I
Nah,
did
you
was
good.
I just applied. Like a lot of people don't really shoot their shot. Like you wouldn't be surprised. Like you'd be surprised. So many of these scholarships actually go under applied, and sometimes funded spots don't get filled, or like they'll decide between 1 or 3 people per seat, which is like competitive but not super competitive. And yeah, I applied and I just like shot my shot. I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest, but what I did know is that there was a lot of money and opportunity, and I knew that if I could learn to code and to do basic technology tasks and like technology related like freelance work, I could teach other people to do that, and that could help my cousins who didn't want to go to college, like my family, my friends. And like that's exactly how I started going. I started putting my friends on, redoing their resumes, telling them go to this website, right? Like there's free code camp. Free code camp. Anyone can go on there, learn how to code, leave with a portfolio that actually impacted their community. Zero like fees.
Hey, into just so everybody know, when you say coding, what the hell that mean, and specifically
So
like what is you doing?
yeah, so what I was doing was I was developing different programs using coding and different coding languages. So there's JavaScript. JavaScript is like the main language that the internet is built off of. The way you could think about it is kind of like the organs of the internet. And HTML is like the words on the internet, and CSS is kind of like the art or the way that we interact with it. So like those 3 different languages you learn in order to like build together into different programs. You can start something as small as like a calculator and or as big as Facebook. And there's different like languages, but the biggest thing that I learned about is like any other language. Like if you immerse yourself in it, you'll learn. And that's really all that it takes.
Interesting. So, I mean, I kind of want to get into then, and because I know George is kind of into some of this. We talked and had an episode. If y'all haven't listened to our episode, we were definitely highly skeptical of the metaverse, but this is also a world that Raul has a vocabulary for and a fluency for as well. But when we get into, kind of your specialties, well, first of all, what would you say your specialties are? Like, what are you like? This is a big world, but this is where I get in and get down and can really put people on. What do you specialize in?
I think I specialize in like research and like emerging, like diversity, equity, and inclusion in emerging technology. And that could mean anything from like, metaverses and Web3, but I also think it means like careers and like the current status of tech. Like we're still very early. So there's a lot of things that I participate in, but the biggest thing is that no one's an expert. And like, that's what I'll be trying to tell people is that like a lot of the people are bullshitting you and like everyone about like their expertise. Like everyone is learning. And if like you commit yourself to that learning process, you realize that like everyone else. You remember like growing up, I remember my uncle used to be like, "Yo, you're so good with the computer," because I used to know how to use LimeWire.
Right.
I wasn't stealing nothing though, but you know what I'm saying. I was down.
Yeah, it's like basic shit with the computer and press. Like I can get that motherfucker to turn on
exactly.
when they can.
And that's
My
what
friend,
it looks like.
They still call me today to hook up shit to the TV.
That's exactly like where we're at right now. So that's what it looks like. So what I really specialize in is like how does emerging technology like impact Black people, and that's like really the lane that I'm working in and the kind of work that I'm doing, and that's why I'm so big on the metaverse and everything that's happening right now.
Yes. So Khadijah, you in the comments talking about this sounds interesting, but I took one data science class and realized tech wasn't for me. Raul says otherwise. Says come back.
I'm gonna keep respect too with you, Khadijah. I ain't really interested in coding. You feel me? I ain't interested in coding, but I think I got a certain expertise and perspective that I can get in where I fit in. You know what I'm saying? Like we did the episode about the metaverse when it first came out. Niggas was like, that seems crazy. But now I done did more research on it and shit, it's inevitable. You know what I'm saying? The question is at this point, is metaverse gonna be influencing and determining most shit in our life in 10 years, or is it gonna be in 5, or is it gonna be in 30, or is it gonna be next year type shit?
Adoption.
It ain't going nowhere though. Like locally, Facebook it dominates. You feel me? Like that's how you keep in touch with your high school people and your college people and your family. And it's just like, hey, your grandma and them probably gonna get out. They're gonna figure out the metaverse. Goddamn, your grandma gonna have NFTs and an avatar in a Louis Vuitton, you know what I'm saying, digital.
But what is the inevitability of it say though? Like to argue that it's inevitable. I mean, because again, the inevitability of it. Well, this is Raul's conversation. Let me not. I mean, let's. Well, I mean, because I
a nice little sensible debate.
Yeah, I mean, well, because this is the thing. It's like in terms of what's necessary to deal with, I'm not gonna argue with you. You know what I'm saying about that. Like how like technology, how it be in the future, all of that shit. I mean, you right. Like the rate at which technology advances is, you know what I'm saying. The better technology gets, the better technology is made. You know what I'm saying. So it's one of them things that's gonna happen. I think with things like Meta though, is it when we're already talking about Facebook, like scientifically, like empirically, like even Facebook knows this, has a negative impact on society, like evolving the reach that Facebook then has, you know what I'm saying? Or you know, as much as we go to Facebook or you know what I mean, we bring Facebook to us going to Facebook, us going to this landscape that's already, you know what I'm saying, created a detriment on the mental capacity of Black or all people, specifically the younger generations. That's dangerous. Like there's certain issues that we ain't even dealing with just statuses. You know what I'm saying? Just text on screen.
Facts.
Fucking up people's minds. We ain't dealt with that yet, but we already talking about like I mean, I was just reading an article about the haptic gloves that's giving them the capacity to, like, when you grab something in the metaverse, like you feel that in your hand. You know what I mean? Like PlayStation 5 controllers is already high tech in the mug, but
the way that
what'd you say, Ron?
I was gonna say that the way that I think about it, like I definitely understand where you're coming from, and I think that like I feel you. You know what I'm saying? Like we're 100% going into Black Mirror. And something that I want to tell, and I always tell all Black people, is you're either in someone else's world or you're in the world you build and own. And if you're not in a world that you built or own, you're in someone else's world. And like I'm like really passionate about getting Black people to understand that like this is inevitable, right? Like my grandfather, I always make jokes about like how my grandfather like had access to like all this like money and resources when he was younger, and like he could have brought brownstones in Brooklyn, but he brought homes in the Dominican Republic. And I never thought growing up that I would ever see him like using any social media. But the other day I saw him scrolling and he's blind in one eye on Instagram. And I'm like, the algorithm has him hooked.
Yeah.
And it's like if adoption eventually got to my grandfather with the internet in 20 years, you know what I'm saying? And we're already on Zoom, right? We're having this podcast like virtually
right now on StreamYard and on Facebook.
Yeah.
Companies like Microsoft are investing in technologies that will allow us to have this conversation 3-dimensionally. I could see all of Georgia's locks, right? Like y'all could see my beard, the waves. I can see everything. We can create like a digital office in a room, and it could be immersive. And I think that like it's a tool like anything else. We could either use it, like you use your superpowers for good, or you use your superpowers for bad. And like that's what it comes down to. Is like I'm trying to have black people build their own
Superpowers exist already.
Oh,
The question is who is using them for good and bad.
If you know how to code and develop, you can build worlds. Like I want people to understand the gravity of that. Like there's people in Haiti and in different like parts of the world who are empowering themselves through like very like simple access to the internet, and they're building worlds, buying appliances, doing a lot.
So we can cut out the middleman right here. And I'm not asking this in a skeptical fashion either though. Like I'm for real. Are you telling me that if more black people learn the code, because let me say my fear, right? My fear is that it is the accessibility aspect in terms of like the being able to access like this type of technology is expensive. And even I think one of the things that stood out the most to me about the Meta announcement was how Mark Zuckerberg was admitting that you guys it's gonna take some bread. You feel me? We're gonna figure out ways to make it more mass produced and make it more accessible eventually. But as we start to build it, it's gonna be something that you're gonna have to, you know what I'm saying, get like the accessibility portion, like in terms of finances, you feel me, is extremely fucking important. And so from that perspective, are you saying that black people learning how to code will make accessing landscapes like the metaverse cheaper?
I 100% believe, and I think even people that don't learn how to code, this is one of the biggest things I want to emphasize is that like a lot of the work that I do and like the work that the people that I'm interested in do is no coding. So that's what happens when people build these like platforms where you can integrate code through drag and drop or through just like designing the program. So like what it does is it takes it so that black people don't now have to go and get a computer science degree for 4 years, 5 years. Now what they can do is they can go on YouTube, figure out how to use the basic experiments in the same way that someone can learn Fruity Loops. Like I think if we're able to design complex beats that sonically represent themselves three-dimensionally, why can't we do the same with images?
And too, to add to that, it's like recognizing that right now cryptocurrency and even the metaverse it's not in the way that settlers said it, but it's like a real frontier. And right now it's literally based off of who can get in first, who can already put it in. When I think about finances, I think about how old white men are gatekeepers in oil, in real estate, in finance, and automobiles, and all those industries. I think that this industry being so new now that you literally have the top 5 banks scrolling on Instagram right now trying to find niggas like him and put money in his pocket to create them a blockchain or to make it where he's going to do it's literally what they're doing. They're pouring millions and millions of dollars in it. So when I know that,
right, but that means that they still the gatekeepers.
You say what?
That means that they still gatekeeping though.
It's different though in the
blockchain. That means they're trying to gatekeep. That's what that means. Because right now you have also a whole part of the internet that's like, nah, fuck that centralized shit. We're not fucking with y'all. Exactly. And that's why they throwing around so much money trying to create quote unquote sellouts. Someone put it in the in the dystopia world. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's yo
it's deep, bro.
To add on to what George is saying, there's an ethos. Like you got to understand, like this is a community of people that's really small and tight. Like everything that people read online, I want you to know that like it's probably really late and wrong. Like the only way you know is if you're talking to the developers, you're on Twitter Spaces, Clubhouses, or Discord chats. So like everything that is happening right now is all speculative. And what I'm trying to say is that like companies are trying to come to people like us that develop and design because a 5-person team can directly compete with Microsoft.
Literally, 5-person team.
Like
I definitely.
So I think the biggest reason I think black people should, and I encourage black people who have the desire to, or even have the inkling to do it, want to learn how to code and should learn how to code, is because it's a question of literacy. Like in the same way that we were barred from reading Bibles because Bibles gave us tools to like talk about the law, like we don't have the tools to talk about like the infrastructure of the future. Like if you cannot read, eventually everything's going to be what's called a smart contract, right? Which is like a quoting algorithm, right? Like everything's going to be in this new language. Like how many of us can read contracts in what's called Web 2, right? In the regular world now, how many of us can read these kind of contracts? Very few, right? Even when we freelance. But then it's like, if we already don't know Web 2, if most of like the Black world doesn't have electricity and running water yet, then we're going to get left 2 economic revolutions behind. And that's what I think is at stake. It's that I think that this is the Matrix, and I always jack that I'm Morpheus as a joke, because like, if you get left behind and out of it, by the time you join, you're joining on someone else's terms, and you will have no self-determination. And I think
that's
that like
literally what the metaverse is about,
bro. No self-efficacy in the like.
That's
like,
I mean, JM is in the comments. I'm kind of seeing people scroll through, and definitely thank you to Miss Myasia for showing love.
Definitely.
We out here trying to generate some conversation, generate some knowledge, or at least contributing to that. But y'all know how we get down on the Chop Up Show. George Lee told y'all best, told y'all first. Education is elevation, so that's the goal around here. But JM said, I hope Black people catch up on quick with this type of innovation. We're always uneducated, skeptical, and left behind in the latest innovations, which is basically what Raul was just getting at. You know, kind of catching. We already behind on waves. We don't have the legalese, and we don't have the relationships to networks to break it down half the time. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a business contract, a contract about our future, our employment, our housing, there's a lot of questions we end up having, and we rely on, well, it played out like this from this family member, it played out for this person I knew, so I'm gonna just go ahead and lean into it without realizing you might have a little bit more flexibility in terms of getting things that you need, right? Including how your money is set up and how your money moves. And so a lot of that makes sense to me for sure. Infinite Blink said blockchain is an opportunity to take the tech back from these major corporations, Google, Tesla, Facebook, Microsoft, etc., which alludes to what y'all were saying in terms of being, you know, in lockstep, you and 4 people you trust, you know, taking on Microsoft, taking on some of these companies, and not necessarily taking them on, but competing with them. That way they can't roll into the gatekeeping role, if I'm understanding what y'all saying, so easily, or in ways that, you know, are not congruent with this community. You know, Raul said it best. It's a tight-knit kind of unit, a group of people who are agreeing that decentralization is the best way to move, and, you know, to have the ability, the flexibility of new systems, new terms, new ways of understanding how this currency moves is interesting. I want to shift the conversation, not really shift the conversation, but talk about something that I came across. Because again, I'm building a new vocabulary about this here, but is it Quavo who has an NFT?
It's not Quavo. It's a Takeoff.
Takeoff with Apes in Space.
In the world. I mean, in the country of the year.
With so what is it? Apes in Space, and he's letting people buy shares. Like break that down. Whatever y'all kind of know about that looks like, and whether that's the types of waves we should be on. Because I mean, like I'm seeing this popular person, this celebrity, this start dropping information about it. Megan Thee Stallion is giving these shares, and like I'm trying to figure out what's happening one way or another. So what do we need to know as fans of celebrities, of consumers, when they say, hey, jump on this wave, this is what I'm doing? And we can start with the Takeoff conversation, or use other examples if you want.
I think one of the bigger examples, or like one of the first large examples of artists taking advantage was when Tory Lanez made $1 million in like
one day,
like it was like a minute, like when he released his album. He released his album as an NFT.
It was a little bit of cap. A little bit of cap though.
Yeah, NFL.
I cleared up. That's why I'm bringing it up. Because you know what? When he said it, the way that he said, like the way that it was positioned, I'm like, I hear you. You feel me? But that's why I'm bringing it up though. That's why you here, bro.
I feel you. Like Tory Lanez, like is a whole is marketing to the fullest, and that's the biggest thing. Like people have to understand about what's going on in this space is that whatever you pump, the value is not backed in anything. Like that's the most fundamental part of this. So what Tory Lanez did was that he had people pay him in what's called Web 2, like in liquid money and US in Canadian money, which is not like technically the way that you like exchange. So like, yes, he may have technically sold NFTs, even though he did like pre-sell a lot of them. He didn't exchange them in crypto. So like people do that all the time. Like I was in a Twitter space where someone tried to steal $1.3 million. And like the person was a 13-year-old, and the way that they figured it out was because he had his mom's Binance account connected to like one of the wallets, and like they just traced the activity of the wallet and found that information. And basically, like he was in the Twitter space. This is all live, so it's like people like Tory Lanez are examples of like real things that happen, but like celebrities gas it up. Like the most important thing people need to be looking for is utility. What does it do? So like Quavo actually physically going to space has a value. Like tokens give you decision-making power. It allows you to like be a voter. So instead of having a record label, I could sell 20% of the royalties to the rest of my music career. And I'll calculate how much do I think as an overhead for this entire sprint of like the next 10 to 25 years. I could divide that, break it up into coins, have a sale. And then when I make big decisions, when I go on road trips, when I do anything, I can divide it among all my token holders. So that's why it's called NFTs, non-fungible tokens, is because like I can have ownership and access via this digital tool that is one of one, and I can prove it's only mine. And with that access, I can do and give things to my community that are utility. So, quick example, Takeoff with Takeoff talking about like basically
Planet
like
Apes,
on the moon, the Planet Apes and going to the moon comes down to like utility.
Right.
His
Space Apes. It's called Space Apes. I mean, must be funny Planet Apes was going out of space, but you know.
Well, no, I mean it's like monkeys in space, and then we talking about him going into space. It's like.
I might have said it wrong, but that is
it is what's going on. It is what's going on, and I think that what's important about what we're saying right now is that we recognize that when it comes to any social media platform and really this virtual trends, Black people usually fueling those 9 times out of 10. Whether it's trendy, whether it's a dance, whether it's a saying, whether it's a activity or a challenge, we fueling it. What we recognize right now is that the people that are literally lining their pockets based off of what we are creating, you feel me? It don't look nothing like us. So when you think about it like this, the owner of Spotify is a billionaire. This motherfucker paying cents on the dollar to the artist that's literally making him his money. The owner of Spotify ain't never been to the studio. One can argue, unless he's want to pick up something. He ain't never made no songs, but he created a virtual space that he was able to take value to, and everybody went to it. Bro. And I think that's the importance of the metaverse. Is that technically Mark Zuckerberg ain't shit, but he created a space in terms of Facebook that now has value. You feel me? And now everybody else sees the value in that, and now we're going over there. So now he gets to dictate a lot of shit that goes on in that space, just like the owner of, you feel me, Spotify. So how I make it go full round, it's like if we can get into the space and already make it where we have people that know how to build, literally, if you know how to play Roblox, little kids to play Roblox,
facts.
Those skills to play Roblox are multi-billion-dollar skills. You see what I'm saying? It's like literally little kids can go to the metaverse and take their skills they did and literally create something that can create generational wealth for I'm talking about a 10-year-old. You feel me? And I think that's what's important thinking about this meta shit and this crypto shit. That's what I mean by like frontier, and what I really mean by like if it ain't your space, it's somebody else's space. You want to be on your shit or you want to be on somebody else's shit. I think that's just
okay.
That's just real.
So let me ask the question though. When we talk about meta space though, technically that's Mark Zuckerberg's world. Are niggas talking about creating their own meta space? Is that because like this is what I'm saying? When we talking about like if you're not on somebody else's land, you feel me? It's that nigga like that's you feel me?
Can I clear something up?
You said what?
Can I clear something up?
Yeah, definitely. Metaverse ain't really his.
Yeah, so metaverse is like the category of digital experience that we're talking about. So what is a metaverse? A metaverse is a multi-sensory experience that tries to replicate life or living in some sort of way. Sometimes it uses virtual reality, sometimes it uses augmented reality, sometimes a sensory experience, Oculus, right? Like
augmented realities.
All of that you can do, right? But like the metaverse, like Meta is just one example of it. So when you think of it, think of like countries, right? So like right now is kind of like, imagine if there's some sort of scramble for a digital world and like people are either forming their own or preparing themselves to align with others. So right now
that's the clarity that people need, because you gotta understand Facebook is called Meta.
They did that on purpose.
They did it on purpose. They synonymous with the metaverse.
Yeah, I want y'all. My questions are strategic, folks. I want y'all to understand why I'm asking the question that I'm asking, because I think what who said it? Somebody said it in the chat that Infinite Blink said Facebook is co-opting the metaverse, right? But because of marketing, remember where the fuck we at? You feel me? Like even the concept of the metaverse came from literature. Like that's something that motherfuckers been talking about.
Been on.
Right? Well, yeah, like that concept is old, but even like but then this is where Infinite Blink fuck up. He say Facebook is like the Christopher Columbus of metaverse. Not necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the issue. When you have like because this is something that exists. It's whether or not the technology, like for example, we know what the fuck the matrix, like the concept of the matrix exists. It's whether or not somebody has the ability to create the matrix. You know what I'm saying? The first motherfucker to create the matrix, right? So everybody else can create a matrix, but the idea is that we like motherfuckers is racing to create it. And when you have I guess actually we would say Facebook is like Christopher Columbus.
It is literally. It is.
So yeah, so Infinite Blink already over my head.
Already there.
Look, he said, did he really discover America? Infinite Blink went over my head, bro. So I fuck with our chat. My nigga went over my head. I fuck with you, bro. I got it. It took me talking shit for a little bit to understand. I had to talk myself into the logic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but that's the point I was making, though. You feel me? That's the point I was making. So that's why I was asking: are niggas creating their own metaverses? Is that what we doing?
Yeah.
You know so are we bringing the undercommons to the metaverse?
That's what we doing.
I know.
Shameless plug, yo. That's crazy because I have everyone on my team reading Molten, and they're like, "Yo, where you learn all this stuff?" I'm like, "Yo, debate." I'm like, if you can create. So the beauty of the metaverse is that we can create hoods that are not policed. Like the problem that's happening right now is that, like, I mean, there's always the reality of us policing ourselves, but the problem is that like we don't have to have the external gaze, right? Like in our blockchain space. If I want to get my own servers, get funky, and just get in the metaverse where all we do is me and my team, we play ball all day, we could do that. George, talk to him.
I'm just like Infinite Blink is hitting it on the head while I'm recognizing what I know about like Web 2.0 and Web 3.0 is the metaverse is the evolution of the internet in terms of how much the internet is being infused to things in our everyday life. So how Joe LeDuc, shout out to Joe LeDuc, how he busted down to me, it's like, hey, when you think about like dial-up, there was like Web 1.0, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm getting it wrong, but it's like Web 1.0. Web 2.0 is when we start putting the internet in like our microwaves and shit like that. Well, 3.0 is just like literally the more and more we move forward, the more and more the internet is going to be infused into our everyday lives. The metaverse, you feel me, is the way that it's like, okay, now we have Tesla. Now you have an electric vehicle that's going to be able to be, you know what I'm saying, powered by virtual shit one way or another. How I view the metaverse is thinking about the real complex way the matrix is built on the internet and people just being able to build shit in that. Like World Star Hip Hop, one can argue that was a part, like that was its own metaverse. Mm-hmm. It created its own culture, its own lingo. People have to get into it, this, that, and the other. That was a older version of the internet. Now it's just getting bigger and bigger. So now think about it. We have Black TikTok, we got Ratchet TikTok, we got woke YouTube, we got lesbian YouTube. It's like we have these different, and to me, that's already a part of what we think about in terms of metaverse. It's now making where we're gonna go past the timeline now. Now instead of me getting on the For You page to go see Raul's content, I'm a virtually go to a room to watch his shit. I'm gonna put over, you know what I'm saying, whatever. It's like that. To me, that's the inevitability of the internet. The Oculus shit, my homeboy pulled that shit out last year. Put it on his head. You're able to watch YouTube. You're able to see shit like literally turn around and you in there. It ain't some shit for me. You feel me? I don't want to do it. But you best believe that the first time I got $300 to put in that motherfucker, I threw $300 in that stock as soon as I could. I'm already up a couple hundred now, you see, or 100 now, you see what I'm saying? But I feel like the way the world is going, it's like, hey, the way we think of finances, it has to be different. Where we think about, hey, my money is working for me. So every cent I get got to work for me. And the virtual reality is the best way for you to make your money work for you. I'm having a conversation with y'all right now on StreamYard on Facebook, Chop Up, right? When I get off of this live stream, I'm going to go check my blockchain and see what happened in the last hour. You feel me? If I want to move some around, I can. If I ain't got to, I want to. You see what I'm saying? I think that's the revolutionary of it. You feel me? The bank's closed right now. If I see Tesla start going down, I want to pull my Tesla stock, I got to wait till tomorrow. But Ethereum start going down, I can move that shit right now.
Instantly.
I think that's the part that I feel like is just so crazy. And the last thing I say on this is that I wish somebody when I was in college broke down cryptocurrency and stocks Like I know trapping. You feel me? If you buy a gram, you might you buy a quarter, you buy a QP, you buy a pound, you buy 10 pounds. That's literally how crypto works. The more you buy, the more you can flip. The more you buy, the more money you can make. You see what I'm saying? It's like literally being able to understand from that position. But definitely, you got to get in where we can fit in. And right now, we are literally the trailblazers of what's hot and what's cool.
Absolutely. Like we in ground zero. Like one big thing I wanted to add to what you were saying about Joe LaDuce's explanation, which is really good, is that Web 1 is where companies make content and companies get paid. So think of like MTV and like HTML websites, like all those forums that we used to go to. Web 2 is where people make content. So like us, but like YouTube, like Twitter, you know what I'm saying? All these intermediaries get paid. That's Web 2. And the clear delineator for Web 3 and the economic differentiator is the decentralization of it, which is that creators make content and creators get paid. So, you know what I'm saying? If George wants to host some sort of speaking event, he doesn't have to like get a venue now. He doesn't have to do everything. He could do it to all his token holders, all the people that have Conscious Coin. You know what I'm saying? And like they take Conscious Coin and their vote. So
Conscious
they're like,
Coin is coming soon too, y'all. For y'all that want to know, Conscious Coin is coming soon. God damn it.
But yeah, y'all, I'm really excited about it. I think that there's like a lot of things that happen in Web 2, like racism that also happens in the metaverse and in blockchain. And we can't like forget about that, right? Like the
I kind of want to bring the conversation around to is the ways that, you know, we create these separate worlds, we create these other worlds, but some of the same people are going to them. So we end up replicating, or by risk, replicating some of the same issues we experience now, like disparities, like various types of various types of colonialism, various extremes of anti-blackness. So what happens in the world, and the theory of beauty has an example. Imagine your virtual land being stolen from you because you didn't pay your virtual mortgage. And I think even a little bit earlier when we were breaking things down, Khadijah said, but it sounds like we're kind of playing from Master's playbook. And I would love if y'all jump in the comments, Khadijah, and just kind of elaborate on what you mean by that, like more specifically. But in what ways have we calculated for some of the risk of there to be a variety of disproportionalities, a variety of various types of structural violence? It is a new structure, right? Or a variety of structures. People command these spaces. They create the terms and conditions for how you participate in these worlds. What does it look like to navigate that type of thing? Or how should we be contemplating those things?
Let me do it. Oh, was you asking Rahel? I said Raul.
I'm asking just anybody. Yeah, Raul primarily, but anybody who wants to contribute.
One of the things. I got you. Biggest thing I think about is like how we value digital assets and reminding ourselves that like nothing in the digital or crypto world is backed by anything but belief. Like we're in a belief economy, right? And what we are seeing is that like black cyberpunk, black
like
crypto,
the stock market, yeah.
Exactly. Like if you believe in it, like it's worth it. Black crypto punks and black Bored Apes. Like, so black crypto punks are an example of like black representations in the NFT space. They're worth less than their white counterparts. So even though they're worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you go and you get a black one, it's worth less. So it's like, why is this representation less valuable of the skin color? But when you have black features like do-rags, like earrings, like grills, like when you have like a mugshot in the background, that's called a rarity, which increases the value of it. But when it's not attached to a black person and that black representation, it's like, oh, like y'all take from us like what we bring culturally, but don't like allow us to be. So
yeah. I think to navigate that.
Hold on, George. Because I gotta say this. Because I won't. I mean, because I feel like Toya kind of been like listening. You know what I'm saying? She ain't really took no stance or swayed away. You feel me? She's just kind of been facilitating. You know what I mean? So I want to throw this out here, and I want to get y'all thoughts on this. How is this not just neoliberalism?
It is.
Yeah, I say it is.
Right. Okay, so we agree that it's neoliberalism, right? Then how?
To its furthest extent.
Right. But the issue that we come back to though is that within neoliberalism is like the free market, capitalism, and accessibility. You know what I mean? And how do we get to a point where if everybody, if like we know that the myth of neoliberalism is that it's that we're making things you know what I'm saying accessible for everybody. We're doing it. This is changing the world. This is changing society, but it still ends up replicating certain forms of like because to me, I'm gonna just keep it a stack. This really creates another form of classism. Again, I get the inevitability of it. I get the you know what I'm saying everything associated with the way it's beneficial, but it's literally just like, okay, oh, y'all niggas is over there, shit, nigga, we over. You know what I mean? This is the and it's gonna be related to finances. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's gonna be related to a lot of the same ills that's connected to what we already deal with.
Facts.
And y'all know that. And y'all niggas is just
I think to me, your criticism to me, or to me, what you're saying right now, your analysis to me translates to being like, hey, we know capitalism is bad, and you're participating in capitalism. It's like,
don't do me like that, nigga. Don't do me like that.
I ain't trying to play
because
like
the point of the fact of the matter though,
we live in a neoliberal system. And we know that
no, you're not doing that, bro. You're not doing that, bro. You're not doing that.
The neoliberal system.
That's not the criticism. Like, let's get to the nuance. Don't try to play me, my nigga.
I'm
talking about
what is the nuance? Explain it to
the
me.
nuance is when we're specifically talking about like bypassing a lot of like, okay, well, it's not for Facebook, you know what I'm saying? So we creating our own, we're doing it ourselves. The doing it ourselves portion is supposed to alleviate us from the connection to bullshit that we got to deal with now. So if we agree that there's still these aspects of neoliberalism, how then is what we this form of separation, right? Creating our own metaverses. How then do we overcome that, right? Because we're literally like even and this isn't and again I respect what you do, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because like you said, it's that inevitability. But if we talk in social justice, one of the things that when people talk about getting caught up on the tech world and all that shit, the tech nerds in Silicon Valley be on the same bullshit that the old money, you know what I'm saying, been on. You feel me? It's just a new face, right? Like racism is just as rampant, you know what I mean, in the tech world as it is everywhere else. But the tech world is seen as the more advanced. You know what I'm saying? One thing that stood out to me in a lot of ways was in the conversation of AI technology. They were talking about like the issue with AI is what the information that gets put in there that produces that artificial mind, right? And the lack of blacks people, I forget what the term is, that, you know what I'm saying, the scientists involved in the shit means that there is a because one of the leading AI tech whatever, she left. She was like, I'm not fucking with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Wrote a whole piece talking about like the issues with dealing with those people in those spaces. You know what I mean? So it sounds like
Google's head of AI. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You remember?
Yeah.
It was a while back though, so I forgot some of the details. But
I remember the
when
details.
when you have these things existing in the place that's supposed to take us to the next level, I think it's crucial to ask the questions of how do we use this to stop what's happening now outside of us just being somewhere else. You know what I mean? Because like we take some of that shit with us. Like, because even when niggas talk about separating and going back to Africa or just leaving America type shit, that shit is exported. You know what I mean? Like that's all that ways of thinking, those processes exported. So that's what I'm calling into question when I bring up neoliberalism, nigga.
I'm here. I'm here with you. Nah. I'm here with you. I'm here with you too. I thought that nigga on both sides of the conversation. Like, we have to remember the first product globally exchanged was the African slave, the nigga. So when we think about what it is to create value in the new world, what we're seeing is value run its course. And like we're making value out of something, right? That like has value. It's backed. The world was backed by black people, essentially. That's what the world was backed by. When we started the global world, it was backed by black people, right? And then that value then became associated with all the other things we value, like gold. And then it became global economics, which is how we know the accumulative and compounding wealth first started. I think that what's happening right now is a true and genuine opportunity for Black self-determination, for you to do whatever the fuck that you want with yourself and with your people. Now, this is not going to liberate you from the grasp of capitalism, but if you have rice, beans, and some clean water and internet connection and Wi-Fi, you and I can live the same lives regardless of where in the world you are. And I think that, yes, it's going to mean that different people are going to have access to different spaces. That's already the status quo. But I think that what we need to concern ourselves with is like, what is the like optimistic capabilities, right? Like, what if like me and my team were working on a social coin that brings Black people into essentially like a hidden space? We're gonna have bodega speakeasies throughout New York. We are connected with mad bodega owners, and we just gonna have like hidden classrooms, vibes, like parties, flexes, like workshops, everything like in different bodegas, and like your token is an NFT. But it's like these are things I've always wanted to bring people to, right? And I want to teach people about crypto and the blockchain, but it's like people think that you're gonna try to like scam them, or I'm like, yo, like if you learn and you learn, and if you're not, you're not. So
yeah, and I'm with the positive shit. I'm with the positive.
Yeah,
shit.
but also too think to add, Scott. I feel like you bringing up a good concern. You feel me? A good question. I feel like that. You know what I'm saying? It's pushing it. I think that to add to what Rahul was saying too is right now. I would argue that how the internet is structured is really being backed by the feelings and emotions and the pain of Black people. And I think that based off of how the trends are usually fueled by our pain, our suffering, you feel me, I hurt. I recognize that the new space, you feel me, in the way the internet is starting to evolve, it makes it where we get to dictate the value of that, and we get to dictate who get to have access to that. I know that now as a creator, I now get to create shit, and I get to dictate that value of it. I don't have to go give my, you know what I'm saying, like a random demo or have to give a video. It's like, hey, I created this thing. People are coming to me, and I think that Rahul touched on is like the value of it is centered around the popularity and or attention that one is able to gain, and not backed by Black bodies or not backed by gold. I think that stuff, you know what I'm saying, a part of it. We all know in this room, all four of us know about fiat. You know that fiat is some shit we all buy into. We know that fiat is, you know what I'm saying, it's symbols. You feel me? And in my mind, it's like when people bring up that crypto is not backed by anything, in my mind, it's like non-unique, all money is fiat. You see what I'm saying? And I just think that specifically to what you're getting at, neoliberalism is bad. We're recognizing that within neoliberalism being bad, Black people are literally being the ones that are being used as the master signifiers of how neoliberalism should look. I feel like in acknowledging that's going on in the status quo, to me, the question becomes, okay, if I'm going to be sold as the commodity, regardless, I want to dictate, you feel me, how much I'm going to be sold at, and I want to be the main beneficiary of how I'm being sold. And I think that that's just how consciously looks at, you feel me, the crypto world and the virtual world, like, hey, baby boy said it. You either buying or you selling. I ain't trying to, you know what I'm saying? So shit, I'm out here. You feel me? That's really how I think the metaverse thing gotta be. That is really like that though. It's like, hey, you either buying or you get.
But look, Toya, I'm gonna need something definitive from you. I'm gonna need something definitive. I feel like you've been kind of on the.
I mean, I still have a lot of questions that I don't, you know, just the direction of the conversation has kind of been exploring and encouraging people to ask some of these things and look a little bit deeper or whatever. So I don't really know that, you know, I can really choose a side because I still have some things I need to understand a little better. Speaking of, I want to get to Marquise's comment or question, which really is, you know, as we start to close things out, looking for some more information since he has a toe in things. He says, Raul, what open book source project would you recommend for C++ and Java? I don't know if I'm saying that right, or the C++ part. Is that what this is? Yeah. And also machine learning at a beginner level. So drop some tips in terms of people who's already kind of got a language and a vocabulary for Raul. I mean, Marquise wants to know where he should go from here.
Yeah, I think the first thing is to pick your blockchain. Right. So the way that a lot of people like need to learn about it is that all they know is like Bitcoin, or they've probably heard of Ethereum, but those are different blockchains. So the way you should see it is like different highways. So it's like you have different highways, and on these highways, you can get off at different exits. And these are the homes that we now call the metaverse. So on a different blockchain, you will have to learn how to operate and interact with it in a different way. So I think that my best recommendation would be to learn Solidity. And look into Solidity. I don't think that that's like a directly response, but Solidity is a coding language of the future. Anyone can learn Solidity. All the people that are old heads in Solidity know it for like 1 or 2 years. It's being updated all the time. And like I was in a Twitter space the other day where people were getting hundreds of thousands of dollars for contracts just to code and know Solidity. And it was actually a black person, a black man, and he was explaining how he learned Solidity like 7 or 8 months ago, and like he already cleared 3 mil off of like a project that scaled, off of owning 10% equity and also getting paid a few $100,000. So I think like learning about like how it interacts, how the blockchain interacts with like whatever skill now is super important. But yeah, I would say like explore open projects and try to like participate in the community. So I would go to Discords. Every single person here should have a Discord.
Discord, definitely.
Yeah, like you could build a really strong network there. And a lot of the open source opportunities exist on GitHub. So like have your GitHub open, be a part of Black Tech Twitter. And like that's how I started. Black Tech Twitter gave me my master's, bachelor's, associates, PhD, and all of this.
Hey, which is the Power Ready social media spaces. Shout out to I Am Black Power Coach KC, who's been up in the comments kind of really lauding this information because it's something that you're not going to learn in the classroom. They're already insistent, based on what I've gotten from my Black Power Coach KC's comments. They already insisting on, the educational system not setting Black and brown kids up for success as it is. So, they definitely going to make this the world's best kept secret for as long as they possibly can, which is why we need to be leaning in, having these types of conversations, and exploring more options that we have out here. So shout out to you, Coach KC, for showing us some love and definitely dropping.
Appreciate that, Coach KC.
And then just wrapping it up, the last thing I want to get to is Infinite Blink, who wants you to talk about smart contracts. I don't know what you're supposed to say about smart contracts, but take us out with some knowledge on these smart contracts.
I heard
and
about
what
it.
we know about them and how we get acquainted with them.
So smart contracts explained using record labels. So I just got signed to the Chop Up Records in Web 2, and y'all currently made me exchange 40% of my ownership in exchange for you giving me some seed money to launch my rap career. Now in Web 2, every single time I drop, you're gonna make 40%, right?
Say less.
So, but if you keep that 40%, right, like the value of it is retained in the CD. Let's say somebody brought a physical CD. Let's say we bring it back to like the Nipsey Hussle game. I'm pushing physical CDs in the hood. I sold this and I have to give 40% of this physical CD to my record label. I only retain 60% of it. When this person who owns this CD sells it years in the future or sells it to the next person for a profit, how much money do I make?
40%, hopefully. 6%, hopefully.
You make nothing because it's a secondhand dealer. It's a secondhand selling.
Yeah, they're not about to back door and give you. That's why you got licensing. That's why you have. He's explaining. Yeah, he's explaining it. He's contrasting it too.
Yeah, so this Web 2 now. Smart contracts means that you'll keep getting paid a percentage forever. So essentially, you're gonna get. Let's say I put a smart contract where I get 10% of my art. If I'm a black artist, think about Basquiat, right? Like his art like wasn't valued in the same way it's valued now. Right. And his estate is making money off of it. But like, I don't know much about the ownership of the estate, but a lot of black artists' estate aren't actually owned by their families. So it's like, if I write smart contracts into my NFTs, the rest of the existence of my people will be able to keep that money because every single time one of my digital assets is moved, I wrote it into the code that I take a percentage. So like when my art that I sold for $500 now is being sold for $500,000, I'm not here upset being a broke black artist. I have equity in it, and smart contracts allows you to have indefinite equity in what you produce in digital assets in the digital world.
So can you have a smart contract with like Tesla or something like that, or it's only your own shit?
So you can have smart contracts is basically how you build something that automatically does something else. So they've scaled smart contracts into calling this thing called DAOs, and DAOs are basically like decentralized autonomous organizations. So there was a DAO that was literally trying to buy the Constitution. And it's like, yo, imagine if we just created a big student government and everyone gets voting rights. And we all brought in, and now we have millions of dollars to put towards one cause. And they made a DAO, and you can make a DAO for anything. So they made a DAO to try to buy the Constitution, and they put a few $1 million bid on it. So like, that means that every single time, like if they didn't win the bid, then the money was going to get redistributed out. So it's like you can create and build programs that kind of do things. And it's really wild. I think it's super interesting. I think that Black people can go on freecodecamp.com, research Solidity, research the blockchain, and kind of like just start exploring.
So a smart contract like an NFT?
A smart contract is a part of an NFT. A smart contract is the logic by which the NFT distributes its money and its tokens. So like,
damn, it sounds like you did. Okay,
yeah. So every NFT requires a smart contract to some capacity because it needs to know what to do in relationship to the blockchain. So when Black folks can create smart contracts where now they own the things that they build and they can pass that on as inheritance and retain that as equity for the rest of their existence. This podcast should be an NFT.
Well, we know who to talk to.
Like
my team and I, we built a little gift for y'all. We have a gift for all of y'all. So we built a chop up coin, and we're gonna help y'all get a 3-dimensional chop up coin, and the coin is gonna be a visual representation. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can eventually ascribe whatever value y'all want to it, but we're gonna help y'all get it into your wallets in a safe and secure manner. And make sure that you know what I'm saying, have something to show the people. So we're gonna get that to y'all. And it was a big thank you for thinking of me and thinking of us. But yeah, we're a design company.
No, shut up, Damo. You don't like neoliberalism. I'm bullshit.
Nah, man.
I mean, now I got something to base my decision off of. I can get some experiential knowledge in order to before I give my take on whether or not it survived or not. So I definitely appreciate that.
It's all about community.
Yeah, I mean, even with the shit I was talking about, that shit, like I said, nigga, I got a big card, I have cash, every way in which money is exchanged. I'm nigga, shit, I'm there. But that's how you gonna hear my goddamn mouth. Shit, that's what you gonna hear. I'm the niggas that don't like spending money. I'm a hoarder. I'm the type of nigga like shit. If I was a rapper, I had an Instagram, the money phone. So I just want to look at it. Fuck the bullshit.
I want to say it's all one thing I'll say. It's all about relationships. So like this coin is valuable because we people. So as my notoriety or like influence goes up, as y'all notoriety and influence goes up, and all of us being coin holders as people that sat in this episode, because we now exchange value through each other, and there's not a marketplace of intermediaries, that's going to be something that can be equity and value for your people as well. So like, yeah, yo, like we gonna keep talking. My goal after this is to have y'all mint every single episode for the future, so that y'all can be what's called, we're gonna onboard you onto the blockchain. This is what we do for companies. This is what we do for organizations like small businesses. We onboard them and we consult, and we're gonna do that for the love because we believe in y'all and we know that y'all doing the thing for the people. So
my mother-in-law.
Right here first. Well, listen, Michael said in the comments.
That's love.
He's enjoying the conversation. You know what I'm saying? I've definitely learned a lot, literally gained a lot from this conversation. Raul showing love out here. For people who are just like, hey, I think I got my little feet wet. My appetite is wet now for more of this. Raul, where they need to find you at? Where do they need to be going to follow you right now before they lose this conversation and lose these gems you dropping?
I'll be dropping mad gems. Y'all can follow me on Twitter at Social Justice Tech. And follow my blog. You can also follow me on Instagram as Street Designer, which is at STRTDSGNR. So Street Designer, no vowels. And you can follow my consultancy, and we're dropping a project called Afro Scholars, and you can follow us at Afokans, which is AFOKANS. And it's on Twitter, and Afokans is an anagram for Sankofa, which means to reach back. And what we're doing is we're building NFTs, metaverses, collections, and just different projects that are all reaching back. So we have a really dope collection coming, and we think that it's going to be worth a lot. And we think that a lot of the people that are early adopters and like are tapped in with us are going to be able to, like, you know, people were buying Bored Apes for a few dollars, like a few $100s. And now if you have one, you have access to like all these different celebrities and all these different people. It's about the value we see. So yeah, that's what I'm about.
I tried to drop as many of those ads as I could in the chat so that you can
you drop all of them. Yeah,
I got the first one for you.
Catch up and keep up with them so y'all can stay connected with Raul. Definitely somebody you don't want to miss out on. I'm so grateful that you decided to spend the evening with us. I know it's late out there on the East Coast, but you tapped in with us anyway.
Thank you.
And gems will drop. If you got in halfway through the conversation, catching it at the end, run it all the way back. Just start from the beginning. It'll be on Spotify. It'll be on Apple Podcasts. It'll be on Blog Talk Radio. It's already on Facebook. It's already on YouTube. Get this information. You think Black people don't, but this Raul right here is a very clear example that Black people do. George's an example that Black people do. The Chop Up has an NFT. Black people do. We out here on the move. So
we out here. We
out here.
I love it. I love
it. My son is asleep. I gotta stop.
Don't wake up, Huey. I'm gratefully appreciated. Those are my last talk, my last take. Make sure y'all stay connected with us. Chop Up Show Pod on Twitter, at the Chop Up Show on Instagram. Follow up with the apps. Like I told y'all at the beginning, share this content, share this information, and we'll see y'all Monday.
Right now.
Y'all go ahead and keep talking to us. Any final words for the people before we wrap up out of here?
I got some final words, man. I think that the biggest thing is, y'all all can do it. Like Black people, we counted stars with our bare eyes. We invented like deep calculations and understood the cycles of stars. What is in front of you is easy. It's on YouTube. It may be a challenge, but it's like within your capacity. You don't need to like have a clean criminal record. You don't need to have anything, but just commitment, time, dedication. And if it takes you 5 years, after those 5 years, you'll be able to make 6 figures, live a good life, and like be good. And like that's a little neoliberal, but I think that everyone here deserves to eat, and I believe in all of y'all.
Love that. Plug Lee.
Yeah, man. Let me just say this about the neoliberal shit, man. Y'all niggas need me, okay? Like we niggas need. They gotta stay grounded. You feel me? We got to do the thing, but remember, we got where we come from. You know what I mean? Like we niggas we all came from a struggle. You feel me? What happened is we all tasting success though. You know what I mean? We all in places that like that's the people that see where we at now, that seen us come up, look and be like, yo, y'all that. You know what I mean? So in a lot of ways, sometimes we lose sight, you know what I'm saying, because of success. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. And
so it's just about keeping shit grounded. I really appreciate this dialogue and this conversation because this is stuff that like I've already been like low key researching and trying to understand and like having but I know when I'm dealing with somebody who really in their shit. You know what I mean? And so every objection that I posited today was really for the sake of explaining it. Niggas need to know that they can create their own metaverse. Niggas need to know that they can code. Niggas need to know that having access to building these things is what makes it accessible to where you don't have to pay somebody, or it's not a question of affordability when you know the bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? So, hopefully we was able to kind of really stress those points home that even with those objections being brought up, it's ways that we can make this shit work for us. I'll even voting. God damn it. Come on now. Come on, Lewis. Stop playing.
Yeah, with that being said, Mr. I'm gonna be short with it. Man, get with it or get lost. That's really it. You feel me? Shit, get with it or get lost, man. Like, that's all it come down to.
There we have it. Well, shoot. Thank y'all in the comments, showing the love, talking with us all night, making your connections, learning your knowledge, dropping your own gems and jewels. We definitely appreciate y'all hollering at us. Y'all know how to stay connected until next Monday. Plug. Take us out. How you brought us in, bro?
Y'all already know how it go.
Me, my guys, we really live. Lord, forgive me, pay my tithes. Please don't have me reach inside. And that's in the console. Keep the semi when I ride. Lit off Henny when I drive. In the city, we gon' slide. Bet I be there pronto.
And there we have it.
Bet I be there pronto. Like Mambo. Jalanto.